What is up? We are back for another rendition of Doing Cool Stuff with Eric Capehart. We're stepping it up a little bit this time. So last time, was my first time going live through this platform in this way. So had some areas where I learned a little bit, figured out some of the tech specs that were set by default, upgraded those a little bit. So hopefully I'm coming through a little bit better this time. Hopefully I'm a little nicer looking. I don't know, you're still gonna have to be looking at me, so you'll just have to deal with that. But we're going over some really cool stuff today. We're stepping up the content as well on Doing Cool Stuff with Eric Capehart. This is really cool. And rather than me just kind of describing it, I'm just gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about here, what we're actually gonna be doing. So got my iPhone here. Hey Siri, add a lead to my CRM.
What's the lead's first name?
Test.
Last name?
Last.
Email?
contact@ericcapehart.com.
And phone?
555-123-5555.
Awesome. Your contact has been added. You're such a rock star.
Oh, thank you, Siri. That's so kind of you. I hope I piqued your interest. Let's get to it. All right, so today I'm going to show you exactly how I did what you just saw me do in this live stream. If you missed that, you can back it on up or watch again later, but we're going to go through it again anyway. So what I am showing you is exactly how you can tell Siri on your iPhone the name of a new contact, a lead, their first name, their last name, their phone number, and their email address, and have that post right into your CRM of choice. So this is for all my salespeople out there, all my marketers who are out there grabbing new leads on the go, interacting and engaging with people. And sometimes you just don't have the time to log into your CRM and fill out a contact record. Sometimes you need it to be a little more expedited than that. Let's say you're at an event, a mixer, a party, you're just walking in the grocery store and you start talking to people in line, whatever it is, and you come into contact with somebody and you want to capture their information ASAP. I think we've all found ourselves in the situation where you scribble down the contact information on the back of a receipt, on a napkin, or maybe you do write it in a note on your phone. Ideally, we'll all just create that contact record right in our phone right there, but sometimes we're in a hurry and we don't have time to do that. And then that sucks having to transcribe that over to your CRM later on and start whatever marketing you have. It's a speed to lead world out there, and so being able to enter a contact right into your CRM as quickly as possible and kick off any automation you may have behind that is pretty crucial. And so there's actually a reasonably simple way that you can set up this process of speaking a lead's name into Siri and having Siri place that in your CRM. And it's using two different pieces of software technology that I'm going to go over today. Now, it is important to note what I'm talking about right now is specific to iPhone. If you are an Android user, I'm sorry. There's a way to do this for Android as well. I'm not going to go into that today because just talking through the iPhone side of things is going to take a substantial amount of time. But if you have an Android, we can get into that as well. I'm currently an iPhone user, but I have had Android in the past, so it will work. There are ways to do everything I'm doing today on either platform. And it's using two pieces of technology. Looking at iPhone specifically, you're going to be using the Shortcuts app on iPhone, which is free. It's baked into iPhone, and it allows you to automate a lot of different processes that you can facilitate on your iPhone. It does tie into Siri. And so we're going to be using that on the front end of things to capture the information right here in your phone. And then on the other side of things, kind of running the magic in the background, we're going to be using a platform called Zapier. Zapier is a platform that is web-based, that automates a lot of processes between different platforms, CRMs, your phone, all sorts of different stuff. If you've ever used anything like IFTT, this is like that on steroids. So without further ado, let's jump into your phone side of things, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can go about setting this up. So starting with your iPhone. This is my iPhone. I'm mirroring my screen right now to my computer. It's a slight delay, so bear with me there. But what we're going to be paying attention to is this guy right here. Right here. This is Shortcuts. It's the app. You may or may not already have it on your iPhone. If you don't, just hop into the App Store and find it. It's simple. It's free. And what it does is it allows you to build out exactly that, shortcuts. It pulls in all sorts of information. If you are not a programmer, which most of you probably are not, no worries. This makes it a little more approachable to figure out and understand how certain elements of programming work if you've never experienced that before. I'm not a programmer, but I am a nerd. And so this is great for me because it gives me that little step up. So within my Shortcuts app, you're probably going to see a blank slate if this is the first time jumping into it. I've got a bunch set up already. And the great thing about Shortcuts is it's very community oriented in that when you build a shortcut, you can actually share it with the community. And that's exactly what I'm going to do for you guys. It is a little confusing to build out what I'm going to show you. And so I've already built out a template that you'll be able to download and work off of. So don't be apprehensive. Don't panic when you see what I'm showing you because you might not get it. That's okay. It's already built. You just need to plug in some pieces of information. But you can see in my shortcuts here, I've got things like, I can drive to home, drive to work using the Waze app. So that way, at any point, I could just tell Siri that, hey, take me home. And it'll pull up it'll pull up Waze and navigate me to my house. So convenient stuff like that. But what we're going to be looking at today is add a lead to my CRM. So I've built out, this isn't the one I just used, this is the template that you will have access to that I have pulled up right now. And as you can see, it breaks things out into modules. So you have kind of a series of events that take place. And so you see these modules starting out with scripting, variables. As we scroll down, you get into network, documents, these different items. And again, this can be intimidating at first. Don't worry, it's built for you. So starting with scripting and variables, you can see the questions that are actually being asked by Siri. What is the lead's first name? And as you look at these, you can start to kind of identify how this pattern of events takes place. Your scripting is the question that is being asked. You're creating the input through either text or your response. You can use this as a text box as well. One of the risks that are involved with this process is obviously Siri misspelling things. It's never good. So depending on what makes more sense for you at the moment, you can use Siri to dictate the name, or you can tap the shortcut and it'll actually populate a text box for you to type it in, which sometimes that's a better option for you. But either way, you're capturing that information and then that becomes your variable. You can see set variable, first name to provided input. So provided input is referring back to that scripting. So as you can see right here, the icon for the variable and the icon, or the input and the icon for the scripting match each other. So you can start to follow along how this logic works. Whatever your input as your scripting response is the provided input that goes into this variables bucket. And so it's capturing that information one by one for each of these pieces. So what's the lead's first name, last name, email, and phone. And so you can see it captures all those variables. And then what happens next is it's going to ask you, okay, where do you want to put this information? And that's where this URL comes into play. And I built all this out, by the way. So you can plug and play whatever types of options you want. The sky's the limit on how you can build out shortcuts. That's what's so cool about it. And then, like I keep saying, I already built this template for you, which is another cool aspect of shortcuts. You can share those templates once you build it. And so in this URL field, you can see it says fill hook URL here. That's because what you're doing at this point is saying, this is where I want to send this information. This is the only part you need to worry about once you get my template saved to your phone. This is going to be a web URL that you are going to fill out. Yes, a web address. Where you're going to get that web address is where Zapier comes into play. Zapier is going to tell you what that web address is. you're going to have this shortcut send the info to Zapier. Zapier will then plug in that info into your CRM. So we'll get there in a second. Hit pause on your brain for a second as far as that goes. I want to finish walking you through this side of things. So this is the next step in that process, actually sending that information over to Zapier to plug into your CRM. And then of course, the best part of all is just, Siri telling you, awesome, you did a good job, you're a rock star. You can make that say whatever you want, or you can just delete that. It's up to you. This section right here in between those two, the network get contents URL, this is where you're dictating how that information is shared to Zapier. This should be able to remain the same. You shouldn't have to touch this, but just a quick explanation of how this works is you can set up shortcuts to send what's called a JSON file. JSON is a code type. And so you're basically just mapping those variables to labels. And so you can see first name matches first name, last name matches last name, pretty straightforward. So you can start again to identify those icons, those little orange dots match those variables. And so it's just lining those up, and that's how it's sending the information over to Zapier. So again, I don't overcomplicate this. It's very confusing if you don't know how to build this out. I will post the link for you to download this very same template in the comments below as soon as this live stream is over, so you can take advantage of this, or you can just shoot me a message and I'll help you out as well. Okay, so that is the shortcut side of things. And so again, it's just the shortcuts app, and then you'll be able to have this preloaded template of it asking those variables. Okay, so with that being said, I now need to show you the Zapier side of things. So Zapier, again, what it is it's an automation platform. It's entirely web-based, and it's going to allow you to take information from one source and plug it into a database. That's what we're doing today. What it really is, it's a matter of finding triggers and actions. So let me show you Zapier. What I have pulled up right now is actually their pricing models, because I want to show you how this works. Shortcuts is 100% free. No worry about that. Zapier can also be free, especially for the premises of this. You can have a free plan that allows you up to 5 zaps and 100 actions per month. And so when I say a zap, what that really is it is a module. It is a trigger and an action. So you can have up to 5 of those for absolutely no cost. And then 100 tasks basically means 100 times running that zap. So 100 leads per month, for instance. And so the one downside to that is it does have up to 15 minutes of latency. So as you dictate a lead, it may take up to 15 minutes for that to actually run. Whereas as you get into the paid plans, the first tier still has that 15 minutes. You just get bumped up in your zaps, get some added features. Once you get up into this professional plan, which is what I currently have access to, the zap time is 5 minutes, which it actually runs much faster than that in my experience, but there are a number of factors that could play into it taking up to 5 minutes. So take a look at that, see if professional plan makes sense for you. I believe there are some other packages that may exist out there that give you different pricing options, but take a look at that and we'll go ahead and jump right into how you actually go through setting up Zapier for the purposes of this, having Siri plug in leads into your CRM. So when you hop in to create your first Zap, this is what you're going to see is you're going to choose an event and an action. And so Zapier actually has a lot of different platforms built into it. These other services have created their own Zapier integrations. And so you can just search for them. As you can see, if you're getting Facebook leads, you can do a similar functionality with Facebook leads where you plug those automatically into your CRM. And then so you're choosing what's the trigger and what's the action. For the premises of this, there is no integration. We are doing this pretty much manually. We're doing this through a process called a webhook. What a webhook is it's a process of hooking the information from one place to another. Again, much more complicated than it really is. So what you are going to be using here, if you're familiar with Zapier, this helps. but you're going to use webhooks by Zapier on both the trigger and the action, because you're going to be using the webhook platform to catch the hook from Siri, and you're going to be using it to post the hook to your CRM. And so as I jump into here, you can see the catch hook. We're using webhooks by Zapier. And this is where we're going to get that URL, that webhook URL that I said you needed to plug in to your Shortcuts app. So if I hop back over here, you can see right here, that fill hook URL. This is where you are getting that URL. Zapier is going to generate this for you. Now I'm using a little bit of a demo, so this URL isn't going to do anything. Don't copy this. It's not going to send the information anywhere. You'll need Zapier to generate this for you, and then you plug it in to your Shortcuts app. So once you have done that, you're going to test it. So you're actually going to submit a fake lead through your iPhone, and Zapier is going to find that and pull it in. And you'll get this, congratulations, we found a request. It's going to pull in that information. So Mr. John Stamos here, we pulled in his information. So that's piece one of all this. You're catching the hook and catching the information. So you're basically plugging into my pre-made template. Where's the URL to send this information? Zapier then receives the information, and now we have to go into step two, which is, okay, now that Zapier's received the information, what are we going to do with it? So Zapier is just a bridge. Zapier is just the handoff. You're passing the note to Zapier, they're passing it to your CRM. And so what you're going to do at this point is post that content to your CRM. And I want you to keep in mind, this can work with most CRMs, but this part of the process is going to be a little more specific to what CRM you're using. For the sake of this example, the CRM I'm using is Big Purple Dot, which is a real estate and mortgage CRM. Now, the CRM that the company I work for actually uses is a different CRM, and they have their own Zapier integration, which makes things quite a bit easier. Now, Big Purple Dot has an API connection that works with Zapier, and so it's just a little bit more setup, but really not much. So what we're doing is we're still using webhooks by Zapier, but in this action, we're choosing post because we're posting to the CRM. And so in this request, this is information that I got from Big Purple Dot as to where to send this information. Okay. And so we're sending it as a JSON file. And then this is our data map. So this is pulling in that sample information from that test contact, Mr. John Stamos. And so we're just mapping the fields accordingly. Because Big Purple Dot uses an API, this is where I plug in my API username and my API key. This is specific to my account. So obviously I'm not showing it to you right now because that's a security risk. You'll need to get that from your CRM provider. Now, if this is the case where they have an API, I actually could bypass Zapier altogether and go straight from my phone, but I want to show you how to do this kind of regardless of what CRM you're pushing to, and Zapier is an easy way to do this. Source is a useful one. Source is basically saying, where did this lead come from? You know, if you wanted to, you could make this a question that Siri asks you. If you wanted to say, oh, it was at this open house event or something along those lines. But if you're in the instance where more often than not, that's not of use to you, you might want to hard code in a source, which is what I've done here, is every time a source comes from Siri, the source will be Siri. So that way I can easily identify those in my CRM. So I don't need to edit any of the rest of this for the use of Big Purple Dot specifically. So I'm going down to the last step, which is send data. And then you hit review and test, and this is going to test your whole process and plug in that contact. You'll be able to see if anything went wrong or if it worked just fine. And so as we go through here, I have my Big Purple Dot account pulled up, and I can go into new leads, and you will see there's the contact we created at the beginning of this live stream, Eric Fake. Pretty awesome. So one more time, let's test this guy out. So, hey Siri, add a lead to my CRM.
What's the lead's first name?
Jack
Last name?
Nimble. Oops, Nimble.
Email?
jackbnimble@aol.com.
And phone?
555-123-4567.
Awesome. Your contact has been added. You're such a rock star.
Well, thank you, Siri. So you can see that is one risk that exists, is it puts some spaces into the email address. But I do want to show you that we now should have let's see here. There's Jack Nimble right there. Got a little ahead of myself. Jack Nimble, source Siri. And then actually, if I hop over to my email, you will see there is an email that came from my CRM letting me know that Jack Nimble has been added. So this is what I really want to showcase to you, is that you can program your CRM to trigger actions based off of these leads that come through from Siri to do whatever you want. So right now it just alerted me that this lead was added. I could set this up to automatically text Jack Nimble a thank you message, a hello message, a video, whatever I want. And that is the power behind this. It's speed to lead, and it is convenient for you. So I know there were a lot of kind of confusing elements in there, but I've done the legwork. I've done it for you. So I'm going to throw the link for you to download that shortcut in the comments below. And what you will see is you'll see the link. This is it right here. You can copy it down if you want, or you can just get it from below. But when you tap on that, you'll want to open it from your iPhone, because what'll happen is it'll automatically open up that Shortcuts app, and it'll ask if you want to add it. So as you scroll down, you'll see that place for you to fill the hook in. You can do that right away if you've already started the Zapier process, or you can just add this to your phone and then do that once you start the Zapier process. But you'll hit this add untrusted shortcut, and that'll add it in. You can trust me. I hope you can trust me anyway. But yeah, how awesome is that? Thanks again, guys, for watching. I hope this has been awesome for you. Let me know in the comments below if this is useful to you, if you have any questions. As you start going through this process, if you hit any snags, let me know. Just comment on this video and I will respond and I will help you out. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Be sure to add me on the various social platforms. Add me on LinkedIn. This might be where you're watching me on Facebook, so hit the like button so that way you can see future cool stuff with Eric episodes. Feel free to find my actual profile and add me as a friend if you want to. It's the same thing. It's ericcapehart.com or facebook.com/ericcapehart.profile. I should add that on here as well. Feel free to check out my website, ericcapehart.com. That does it for me. I didn't plug in my laptop, so it's about to die, so good timing. I will see you guys next time.